It's a great Tuesday afternoon for baseball in the Hill City. James C. Fox Field is where the Lynchburg Hornets will play host to the ODAC foes, the Hampden-Sydney Tigers. My name is Evan Gates. Welcome to LHSN here. Really nice day for baseball as the Hornets, undefeated at home this season, trying to keep it that way today. Wes Arrington will be on the mound. We know he's had a few relief appearances this year, but hoping to go far in the start today, as the home Hornets will be in white today and the visiting Tigers in gray. Talk about Arrington obviously coming out. We know what he can do when he's hot, and we're just hoping that he continues to go that way today. The senior out of Keswick, Virginia, 16 in 2 innings on the season, 5.40 ERA. We'll go ahead and introduce the fielding alignment today for the home Hornets. If you look at the outfield going left to right, it will be Neves, Atkins, and Webster. The infield from third base to first, it will be Jones, Collins, Harding, and Jormund. And the battery between Wes Arrington and Holden Fiedler. Talk about a team in Hampden-Sydney, and though the record might not show it, being 10-11 right now, a game under 500, they can certainly do damage, and we know the Hornets looking to continue their winning streak. A nice weekend at Washington and Lee. Will get more into depth with that later in the game. But it's time for some baseball here Tuesday afternoon. In steps Grayson Harris for Hampden-Sydney. And Arrington delivers the first pitch for a strike. We are underway. 3:02 start time. It's about 60 degrees. Obviously, we know there's been quite a bit of wind the past few games at home. And Arrington, no trouble finding the strike zone early on, as Harris goes down 0-2. Harris, a two-way player, batting .282 on the season. That one going to be a bit low. Interesting because at the college level, we know quite a few players have the capability to play both on the pitching side and batting side of the plate. As Fiedler holds on to that one, and it's a strikeout for out number 1 for the Hornets. So Arrington gets the start he would like. Here's Jackson Masterson for the Tigers.
Jackson Masterson
leads the team in average walks so far this season. Masterson and Ryan Boyce have started every game this season. It's going to be a routine 6-3. And the Hornets have 2 down. And speaking of, in steps Ryan Boyce, who leads the team in at-bats.
Ryan Boyce.
And if you want an impressive stat, 18 for 19 on steal attempts. So if he gets on the base pads, you got to watch out. We know this Hornets pitching squad is apt at looking over to first, trying to keep that runner at first. Arrington hoping that won't be the case, though, if he can get the side retired early on. It's so important in the first inning just to set the tone. We know that the Hornets have an important battle tomorrow against Christopher Newport. For now, it's the Tigers of Hampden-Sydney. This one's going to be shot out to left. It looks like Neves will have it, and he does. 3 up, 3 down for Wes Arrington. And on the other side, it's going to be the Hornets stepping up to the plate here on LHSN. We thank you for joining us. Here on LHSN, the Hornets about to step up to bat, but first let's introduce the pitcher for the Tigers today. And as we know, this Hampden-Sydney team, quite a big pitching staff. We'll get into that in a second, but it's Sterling Austin, the righty, taking the plate today. 10-12 ERA, 5 appearances, 3 of which have been starts. 1 loss on his record, but we know this is a team that certainly has the talent to stay in this ball game. As in steps Cam Lane, who will be DHing today for the Hornets. Swings at the first pitch that's offered, and it's going to be 0-1. Cam Lane out of Manassas, Virginia, batting 340 plate appearances. Will lead off today as that pitch is going to be low. Another one outside, and for the Hornets, obviously a team that knows how to bat, knows how to get on the bases, but a lot of that due to their plate discipline this season. They're experienced, they're patient. We've seen so many of these ball games that aren't necessarily early game leads, but they keep the foot on the pedal. Looked like Lane wanted that one, but it's going to be called a strike, so the count is now full. Here's the pitch from Austin. It's going to be outside. As I said, that plate discipline will earn Lane a spot on first. And Ben Jones, the lightning hot freshman, will step up to the plate. From Jordan High School, we know his fellow teammate Brandon Garcia also going to Jordan, batting 400. If you're a Hornets fan, you love the potential that this guy has shown this season. Earning his spot now, batting second in the lineup. That's going to be a ball. If you're Austin right now, obviously struggling a little bit to find the strike zone, but you want to keep the heart rate down in the first inning. It's not a time to start questioning things. So we know Lane on first as well can put a little bit of pressure on. And always when you have Avery Neves early in this lineup, there's going to be pressure. As ODAC play is started up. It's going to be hit out to center, and it's going to go over center fielder's head. Lane is going to round third. It's going to be an easily scored run to start this one, and the Hornets are up 1-0. How about that? Ben Jones with a double to start things off in the scoring column for the Hornets. Setting the table for the big man, Avery Neves, who will bat third. Jones just waited on that one and makes it pay. And now Avery Neves, batting .382, the hard-hitting senior, an All-American. We say it almost every game that he plays in. He's just so talented. We know at times pitchers sometimes a little hesitant to pitch to him right away. And we know with Neves, that's obviously affected how he comes up and approaches sometimes, but you can't let it dictate your plate appearances too much. You still want to be able to hit the ball on the field. Swings on this one early. Looks like it's going to be flown out to left. And that will hold Jones at second. One down for the cleanup, Logan Webster. He'll be playing right field today out of Grassfield High School.
Number 6, Logan Webster.
Batting .279. Again, one down. Ben Jones standing at second. First pitch right in there for a strike. This Hornets team, we know Arrington obviously went 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first, but you have to think with the captains coming into town tomorrow, what the substitutions will look like later in this ball game, as that one's fouled to the right. We've seen a few different looks from this lineup throughout the season, but it seems that Lucas Jones has settled on keeping Webster at cleanup. That one in the dirt. Smothered nicely by Beavers behind the plate. 1-2 count. Fouled towards the Hornets dugout. So many times early in a ball game, you maybe think, okay, one run's nice to start things off, but you really want to start getting in the score column. We know in baseball just how quickly runs can develop, as that one's fouled back. Especially with the top of this lineup, as capable as it's been this season. Need to apply the pressure early. As we've said, the Tigers, maybe the record doesn't say just how talented the squad can be historically. And the ODAC, a solid program. Righty on righty matchup. 2-2 count. And that one's going to hit him. Runners on first and second now for the Hornets. Again, another display of that plate discipline, just not forcing it.
Your second baseman, number 2, Jackson Harding.
And here's Jackson Harding for the Hornets. He's playing second today, the grad student from Keysville, Virginia. Batting .281 on the season. As we said, Sterling Austin on the mound for Hampden-Sydney. This is a team that has enjoyed going around their pitching rotation. Many different looks, many different starters on the season, and obviously it's early. As we see there, looks like Beavers wants to have a chat with Austin. But early in the season, when especially not in conference play, you know you want to get different looks. You want to see which pitchers can bite into ball games. But this Hampden-Sydney squad has done that just a bit more. And differences between midweek starters and weekend starters, trying to figure that out. We know with Lynchburg, Brandon Pond returning, you have injuries that sort of will dictate how you look at things. Looks like that's going to be called a strike. 2-1 count, one down. Runners on first and second for the Hornets. Here's the pitch. And fouled back to the left. Gavin Collins is on deck. See if the Hornets can cause some more damage here in the bottom of the first. Count will run full. that's a walk. The bases are loaded. As we mentioned, now stepping in, it's going to be Gavin Collins. He leads the team in at-bats with 77, the junior from Centerville High School. Looks like we're going to have a little mound meeting early on. Jeff Kenny going to talk things over. And early on, a little bit of trouble here for the Tigers, who in their last game, a doubleheader at Roanoke, they dropped both. We know Lynchburg dropped 1 of 2 earlier in the season. Game 1 starter was Owen Tappy, and Game 2 starter was Justin Woodall. Roanoke, a team that's playing well in the ODAC. Right now, Shenandoah, Lynchburg, and Roanoke, all 6-1 in conference play. Still early. Little too early to make predictions, but we know that it's going to ramp up late in the season. Here's Collins from the right-handed batter's box. And it looked just outside. That's a good eye from Gavin Collins to start the at-bat. He's going to swing at that one, 1-1 count. You wonder with Collins if he was taken no matter what on that first pitch. We know bases loaded, 1 out. Just want to keep the pressure on Austin if you're the Hornets. That's a nice pitch for a strike. Collins will take 2-2. You know you want to punch out or a pop-up here if you're the Hampden-Sydney defense. Try to avoid any runs coming across the plate. And full count. Nowhere to put him. Here's Gavin Collins. Nice pitch there for a strikeout. And the Tigers might be able to get out of this one, but if they do, they're going to have to put away Josh Jormond, who's batting .361 on the season. 3 doubles, 2 triples. He's had solid contributions at first base all season long. And experience goes really around this entire roster, but it's players like Josh Jormond. Obviously, we've talked about Avery Neves, but just to have seen this program over the last few years, they've been around success. Jormond, and it's a grounder into right. It's going to get through. And the Hornets are going to score 2. Jormond trying to get into second. He might have gotten around the tag, but no, Jormond will be called out. But it looks like the Hornets scored 2 on that final play of the bottom of the first. Turn things over to Wes Arrington, but it's a solid first inning for the Hornets here on LHSN. Welcome back here on LHSN. First pitch going to be outside for Arrington. Went 3 up, 3 down to start the second inning. There was a bit of confusion at the end of the first. Both runs will have scored, obviously scored before that final out was recorded, as Chambers will be thrown out at first to begin top of the second. In steps Jacob Miller-Bopp, another one of these two-way players for the Tigers. And again, one of those things at the collegiate level, you see it a little bit more often now. 39 at bats on the season. He's batting .282, so still very efficient from the plate. See more players too, especially in travel ball early on, who will do pitching and batting, but allows you to learn the game from both sides. You wonder what the relationship is like with umpires when you're pitching and batting. We know Shohei Ohtani at the professional level. We've seen what he's done, especially in that World Baseball Classic. And it's going to be called strike by a first base umpire, and Bopp is retired. 2 down for Arrington. It's going to be Christian Lancaster.
Number 15, Christian Lancaster.
That steps into the box, batting .297. He's started every game that he's played in this season. Batting lefty. He's going to try to get the bunt down. Arrington read it, but the throw is going to be off. Nice work from Harding to back him up. That's going to be an error on the Hornets early on, and runner gets to first. One of the tougher things in baseball, being able to back players up from every angle. Solid play there. Lucas Burnett will step into the box, batting $182 on the season. He's DHing today. As looks like that pitch could have been inside, but it's called a strike by the crew chief. 0-1. This one is inside for a ball. Arrington throws back to first, not going to get him. Solid from the mound so far, just one play that keeps this inning alive for the Tigers. Jormund has to scramble to find it, but he's got it. And once again, the Hornets blink the Tigers for the top of the second. We'll be right back on LHSN. Three runs on 2 hits for the Hornets. As we enter the second inning, and Holden Fiedler steps up to the plate. He's the catching half of the battery today. From Henrico, Virginia, batting .349. So many of these Hornet players batting over 300. That's characteristic of a successful ball club. Knows how to get on base, and really the question all season has been, have they been able to bat them in? Get some runs across the plate. 1-1 count to Fiedler. And makes it look easy right down the middle into center for a single. So 1 on, no outs here to start the second. It'll bring Carson Atkins up to the plate from Charlottesville, Virginia, batting .317. As he steps into the right-handed batter's box. Talk about the Hornets. Their last time out as the pitch to Atkins. Tried to get that one down for a bunt. And it will be taken for a ball. Hornets won 2 games of a doubleheader at Washington and Lee this weekend. Won the game 6-4 and 14-3. Game 1 starter was Zach Potts. He went 6 2/3 innings. Allowed 7 hits, 6 strikeouts, and Jack Batchmore finished things off. Ben Jones 3 for 5 in that one. Avery Neves 2 for 2. Right down the middle for a strike. And then game 2, Brandon Pond. He went 3 innings. A very nice sight to see. As we said, he's been continuing his rehab, starting to up the innings count. Pitch outside to Atkins. And 6 Hornet pitchers contributed to that one to get the victory. As I said, 14 runs scored for the Hornets. Full count, no outs. Fiedler on first. Again, the Generals of Washington and Lee, another one of those ODAC schools. As Fiedler will get back safely. And those are the types of games that you really have to win to get that conference record up. Atkins waves at that one for out number 1. But it's exciting early in the season just to see the Hornets competing. As we said, it was a high-energy doubleheader against Roanoke just a week before. That one in Salem. It was Salem Red Sox. Allow the Maroons to use their stadium. That one inside. But it did not hit Cam Lane, who steps up for the second time. He walked in the first. Chance for 2. But the throw's going to be late. It gets away from him. And it hits the fence, so it's going to be 2 outs. Fielder's choice. As Lane will be on first. And it brings up Ben Jones, 1 for 1 early in this game. So fun to watch him play. Same can be said for this entire roster. Lots of energy, but especially the freshmen that have come in, just the talent they're bringing. Something that's always refreshing for a ball club. Throw back. It was a late dive, but Lane will be safe at first. It's a solid pickup move. Pickoff, excuse me. Pitch to Jones will be taken. It's going to be called a strike. See players like Cam Lane, Brandon Garcia, their leads. Obviously, you want to mess with the pitcher a little bit, but sometimes you don't realize how disciplined a pitcher has to be. So many things to look at when working on the mound. not even taking into consideration the mental game, as well as continuing to throw fast. But it's Austin who will deliver the pitch. Outside, hitters count as Jones works at 3-1. Try to keep you as updated with the counts as possible. We know the scoreboard on your screen doesn't display it. Speaking of, with graphics though, we are extremely blessed to have our entire LHSN crew working with us. As always, they do a phenomenal job, making our job as broadcasters extremely easy. Here's the pitch. And will be taken for ball 4. Lane was on his way to second, full count, 2 outs, and now Avery Neves steps up. Another meeting at the mound. You had to think that was coming with Neves stepping up to the plate. We're going to have a pitching change here in the second. We'll be right back on LHSN.
Number 17, Ryan.
2 down in the bottom of the second here at James C. Fox Field. We thank you for joining us here on LHSN. As we've got a pitching change now on the mound, it's number 17, Ryan Portez for the Tigers. 1-1 record, 5.06 ERA. This will be his 8th appearance on the season. So Austin's day will be done. 3 hits and 3 runs as Avery Neves steps up to the plate, the All-American. Runners on first and second. That's a strike. Pitch number 1 for Portez. The righty coming into the ball game for the Tigers. So many relievers, you have to think their first batter will be Avery Neves. He brings that type of attention to the coaching staff. He is on a tear now, and we've said that so many times, but just named the ODAC Player of the Week. We'll have more on that in a second. As Portez offers the pitch. It's going to be outside. That was a nice pitch, just better take. To put this into perspective, Neves has contributed to 21 of the Hornets' last 31 runs scored. That's before the first 3 that we just had today. As he gets the walk there, you see sometimes just a larger disparity between the batting average and the OBP for him. He's gotten on base so many times because of walks. as he adds one to the tally there for Logan Webster to step up with the bases loaded. Back-to-back walks for the Tigers. That pitch is in there for a strike. Webster was hit by a pitch in the first. Portez. And almost had a chance at that one, goes to the second base. And the Hornets will score none. So solid job by the reliever Ryan Portez. But the Hornets still up 3-0 early in this one, as we'll return with the top of the third. Arrington's back out there to start the third inning. He's been solid in the first two. No hits for the Tigers, as the Hornets still up on a 3-run first. As it's going to be Beavers that waves at the first pitch, doing the work behind the plate for the Tigers today. Skies one foul. Jay Beavers started every game that he's made an appearance in this season, batting .232. As we mentioned earlier, the Hornets will have another home game tomorrow against Christopher Newport. A ranked matchup. Dropped one earlier in the season to the captain, so you know the Hornets are going to be ready for this one. Undefeated at home this season. It's going to be Collins. Wow, what a snag there from Jormond, and it's out number one. Made that one look easy to hold on to it at first. And with that, it'll be Jack Wilson who steps up to the plate. One gone. Could say this about every position on the field, but especially short and first. Just so much to react to make the plays, the routine ones, on a consistent basis. Wilson batting .200 on the season, 20 at-bats. One count. Pulls that one foul. Wilson in the 9-hole of this Hampden-Sydney lineup today. We'll turn things over to Grayson Harris, who was on deck. Wilson in center. Here's the pitch from Arrington. Got him for strike three. Out number 2 of the inning recorded.
Number 52, Grayson Harris.
As we said, in steps Grayson Harris. Doing the work at first base today. Arrington gets the call. 0-1 count. Didn't look like Harris liked that one too much. and almost stayed fair as it taps over the line. Harris struck out in the first to lead things off. Tigers still searching for the first hit of the ball game. That one fouled back. Arrington a strike away from ending the third for the Hornets. As that one outside, 1-2 count. Talked about it often, but the Hornets have been extremely solid across all sports so far in this spring season. We know the success that the lacrosse programs have had. Track and field meet last weekend, along with baseball and softball. Lots of ranked teams. That one's smothered by Fiedler as it's in the dirt. Fouls another one. Harris in this leadoff position. Obviously, we want to make life difficult on the pitchers. He's doing just that. And did he go? Yes, he did. And Arrington, a strikeout to end the top of the third, and he's been solid in this start as the Hornets lead 3-0 here on LHSN. We'll be right back to James C. Fox Field.
For Hampden-Sydney.
Jackson Harding's going to step up to the plate for the Hornets. It's been a solid 3 innings from Wes Arrington on the mound, as Portez is back out there for the Tigers. He slid there on the mound. We know it's so difficult, too. Sometimes that dirt in front of the pitcher slab will just get a little bit loose. That's where you have to be wary of injuries, but it looks like Portez is okay. First pitch swung at and recorded for an out by the Tigers. Maybe a little bit of strategy there, too. You walk up, see the pitcher, maybe a little bit shaken up. He looked to be okay, but trying to offer at that first pitch after, but Harding unable to do it. In steps Gavin Collins. A strikeout in the first. Inside portion of the plate, but it's going to be called a strike. Portez in for the Tigers at reliever. He's been solid so far. Collins going to foul that back. 0-2 count. And going to get that one in the outfield. It's going to drop for a base hit. As we said early on, lots of at-bats for Gavin Collins. He's been consistent and solid for the Hornets squad, but Josh Jorman will now step up to bat, the first baseman.
First baseman, number 25, Josh
Single in that first inning. Hit it through the 4-hole into right field. He's going to step up again. Portez with the pitch. It's going to be low, ball 1. That one up in left field. It's going to hit the roof of the batting cage. And 1-1 count. Portez throws back to first. If you're just joining us, welcome here on LHSN. 3-0 ball game. The Hornets up on the Tigers in some Tuesday afternoon ODAC action. Called strike. And it's going to be 2 strikes on Jorman. Collins always a threat on the base path. As we said, Jorman batting .361 before this one. Single in the first. So that number bound to jump. Pitch outside. See, at this portion of the season, things starting to heat up. You wonder if the bats are going to start to heat up. For this Hornets squad, they certainly have in recent games, but that one's going to be fouled off to the left. Collins was going to second. But we know, especially early in the season, colder temperatures, ball might not travel as much. So maybe a bit of a confidence boost for teams across Virginia. And again, we know weather, even going into mid to late April, can still see some cold ball games. Portez looks back over at Collins. Here's the pitch. Collins is going outside. It's going to be a close play at second, but he got him. And a solid throw behind the plate from Beavers, and not much Collins could do about that one, as there's now 2 down. Jorman's still at the plate. It's going to be full count. Pitch from Portez, fouled back. Especially a situation like that one, trying to get a runner stealing. Boyce did an excellent job applying the tag. Collins tried to make it close. Pitch outside. Jorman will get the walk to first. So still mixing things up in this 3rd inning are the Lynchburg Hornets. And in steps the catcher, Holden Fiedler. Fiedler a single to kick off the 2nd. Seen a lot of pickoff attempts from Portez. He's not messing around on the mound, and rightfully so. Lynchburg team that enjoys being active on the base paths. That's going to be hit out of left, and a very nice catch by Lancaster. He had to go back a ways to catch that one, but Fiedler is retired and the inning is over. So score remains 3-0. Lynchburg, 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error as we move on into the 4th with Wes Arrington. We'll be right back. The Hornets finding success early, as is Wes Arrington on the mound. No-hitter going into the fourth against the Hampden-Sydney Tigers. As we've said, ODAC action has started to heat up. The Hornets undefeated at home, trying to keep it that way in this one. Jackson Masterson steps up to the plate, grounded out to short in his first at-bat of the game. Arrington, when he's pitching with confidence, has been extremely resourceful for this Hornets squad and a pitching rotation that has added quite a few freshmen this year. We've seen their impact early in the season. Most notably, we talk about the work from a few of those starters. Logan Tapman. It's going to be Masterson, who's retired on strikes.
Number 7, Ryan
And
Burns.
one down as we start the fourth. But so many names that you could look at on this Lynchburg squad for pitchers who have just continued to perform. And something that as a coaching staff you really enjoy, especially when you start considering the end of the season. Conference play wraps up leading into the ODAC tournament, and hopefully more for this Hornet squad. Ranked 11th in the nation. Ryan Boyce is stepping up to the plate. As we said, made the tag at second to get Collins out trying to steal. And it's going to be a single here in this one. There goes the no-hitter for Arrington. Patient hitting for Ryan Boyce plays off.
Number 11, Christian
As there's
Chambers.
one down here in the fourth inning. It's going to be Christian Chambers who steps up. Pitch from Arrington. And it's going to be skied out to right. And it's going to be caught by the center fielder, Atkins. So 2 down here in the fourth inning. The Tigers starting to have some contact against Arrington.
Number 6, Jacob Miller-Bopp.
Positive sign we know early in this one. Struggled to get runners on base. There's a runner on first, and Ryan Boyce, who's trying to get back to first. Pickoff unsuccessful. As Jacob Miller-Bopp steps in. Struck out in the second. And Miller-Bopp waves at that one. Wonder how long Arrington stays in this one. No one in the Lynchburg pen at the moment. See if things change in the next couple of innings. We know Lucas Jones has used his bullpen quite a bit, but with the game tomorrow, you have to wonder. As Boyce was stealing, it's not going to matter. Got past Fiedler. Puts a little bit more pressure here on the Hornets. Boyce with plus speed. He was going either way. Jacob Miller-Bopp. It's again one of those two-way players for the Tigers. He's going to ground to second. And Jorman has it to end the fourth. So the Tigers break up the no-hitter. They got one across the scoreboard, but still 3-0 in the runs column here on LHSN. Carson Atkins will step up to the plate to begin the bottom of the fourth. Struck out
Number 12, Carson Atkins.
in the second. The Hornets and the Tigers, it's 3-0 on this Tuesday afternoon. As Portez still on the mound. Came in relief in that second inning. Pitch taken for a ball. It was Sterling Austin who started this one. 3 runs scratched across. Early on, Atkins saw it all the way, and he's going to pull it into left. As a single opens up the bottom of the fourth. Turns the lineup over to Cam Lane. 0 for 1 with a walk, fielder's choice in the second. And here comes the pitch, trying to get the bunt down. It goes right back to Portez. They're going to get the put out at first. So Atkins will advance to second. 1 down in this fourth. And up steps Ben Jones.
Your third baseman, number 21, Ben Jones.
You have to think that a base hit will score Atkins. Pitch, lower third. Ben Jones asking the crew chief about that one, but it's going to be 1 strike. ODAC action always interesting, regardless of the opponent. A very formidable one in Hampden-Sydney, playing this one at James C. Fox Field. Out of the Farmville area. Jones in the box, 2-1 count. It's going to be outside. 3-1 with Atkins on second. Have to think Ben Jones will have the green light with how he's been hitting. And he'll take it. It's a nice pitch there from Portez, and the count is full. Jones, the freshman out of Jordan High School, batting .400. Chance to pull one into right. Will almost certainly score Atkins. Fouls that one back. Portez has certainly not been afraid to test that strike zone. Is not allowed a run yet in this one. Jones, he does pull it to right, and it's going to get down and out. Ben Jones adds to the score tally. He's going to make it 5-0 for the Hornets. How about that for the freshman? He has fire on his bat in these last few games as the Hornets get a very comfortable padding on that score now. Makes it 5-0. Just talked about Portez not allowing a run. Well, that's going to change, as it looks like we have a pitching change as well. But the fire-hot freshman, Ben Jones, gets the scoring going in the bottom of the fourth. here on LHSN. With the Jones homer, Portez's day is over as he turns over the relieving work to Jackson Barnett for this Tiger squad. And a solid start to the inning for the Hornets. There's one down, but Jones drives in two and a homer to right. It's his fourth on the season. For Barnett, it will be just his second appearance on the season. 3 2/3 innings pitched so far. So we might see a few more relievers in this one for the Tigers. But with the homer, Jones has tied the lead for home runs on this squad with the man stepping up to the plate in Avery Neves. As Neves takes the first pitch. As we said, Jackson Barnett now on the mound for Hampden-Sydney. Righty on righty matchup. Neves swings at it. If it's fair, it's gone. And it is fair, and it is gone. Avery Neves makes it back-to-back for all of one batter. The home run leader was tied, but Avery Neves, the All-American, putting in the work with a solo shot. He knew it was gone if it stayed fair in left field, and there was no question. As the Hornets make it 6-0 on 7 hits. And now Logan Webster steps up to the plate. Great start to the inning for Lynchburg, hoping to pour on a few more as Webster takes strike one. As I said earlier, as temperatures warm up, you're only going to see more of that if you keep watching these Hornet games. If you're just joining us, we welcome you to James C. Fox Field. It's a 6-0 scoreline in favor of the Hornets. 0-2 count to Webster. He's going to take a ball, now 1-2. Jones and Neves going back-to-back here in the bottom of the fourth. Webster's going to foul that one back. Start to get confidence, too, especially with a reliever coming into the ballgame in Barnett. If you see your buddy get a homer, why not add one to it? Again, that maybe a little bit of that experience kicking in. You wonder how much the mental game, how much of an impact that truly has on the game. But nevertheless, Avery Neves making it look easy once more. Here's the pitch to Webster. Pops it up to right. It looks like it's going to go foul. 2-2 count for Barnett. talked about Lynchburg obviously being able to get runs throughout the game. It doesn't all come early, but today they have had a solid start. 3 in the first and 3 in the fourth. The Hornets and the home whites, Tigers and gray. Here comes the pitch from Barnett. Grounded to short. Boyce will make the throw for an out. We've seen a couple times this year, too, that throw to first. Sometimes a little bit of congestion on the base path. If you remember that Virginia Wesleyan game, there was a call that was overturned for an out, with Jorman trying to get the tag on. In steps Jackson Harding. Grounded out his last at-bat. And there for a strike. Still no action in the Lynchburg bullpen, so it's going to be a solid start for Wes Arrington. So you'll hope to keep that one going into the fifth. We'll try to keep an eye on that. Obviously, game tomorrow against the captains of Christopher Newport. CNU, another ranked squad. CNU, a program that seems to find success in every aspect of their athletic program. Won the national championship for men's basketball. That one is going to stay fair. Umpire signaled it right away, and Harding is going to get to second easily. So it's a double down the line for Jackson Harding. He keeps this fourth going for the Hornets. And in steps Gavin Collins. That was Harding's first hit of the ball game. Looks like Collins and Beavers having a few conversations throughout this one. Umpires talking things over, maybe to see if that was indeed a fair ball. Looks like the runner's going to stay on second, and Jackson Harding. Would have been a late call to overturn, but the umpire and crew says we saw enough. And now Collins will be up to bat. Such a tough job these umpires have game to game. Allow the game to flow seamlessly. Especially the man behind the plate, always difficult calling strikes and balls. It looks like crew chief actually hit by that pitch. We're going to keep an eye on that. Hope he's okay. Ooh. Always at difficult angle, having to stay close to the pitch. Heard a wow from the crew chief. He sweeps his legs off. Looks like he's going to be okay, but ooh. As we said, that velo always coming in hot. It's almost impossible to get a perfect angle on a pitch, but you got to be in tight. We're going to see if that remains a stolen base, but first we want to make sure that our crew chief is okay. Sometimes there are things that are bigger than baseball. It looks like he's going to be all right. And walk it off. Almost in sync with what we were just talking about. It's no easy job. And maybe a smart decision from the coaching staff. Looks like Barnett's going to come out, obviously a couple minutes there between throwing the pitch. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back on LHSN at 6-0 in favor of the Hornets. So wild pitch will lead to a pitching change as Colton Harris steps into the ball game. Right-handed pitcher out of Stewart's draft, the freshman for the Tigers. 2 down. Looks like our crew chief will be all right. Bit of a scary pitch if you're just joining us. Got past Beavers behind the plate, but Collins will step up to bat. The count remains 1-0. Hornets trying to keep the bottom of the 4th alive. Runner on 3rd. As the ball escapes Beaver's glove. Collins, a strikeout and a single in this one. Here's the pitch. Felt comfortable swinging at that one, but it's going to be fouled off. Pitch outside. Barnett got just an out in his short appearance. Allowed 2 hits, and as we said, sometimes your arm gets a little cold. Coaches want to make sure you're feeling all right. That's a strike on Collins. And Collins will keep the inning going and keep the scoring going as 1 will be added to the tally for the Hornets. Harding steps on the plate, and it's 7-0 for the Hornets. Bringing Josh Jorman to the plate. That was a nice swing by Collins, not trying to do too much. He just gets it to the outfield grass, and it's enough. And really all season. I mean, you can talk about the home run ball as we've seen with Jones and Neves going back-to-back. But the Hornets scoring in multiple ways in this one. Jorman swings on that one. It's going out to right. And center fielder Wilson will have the catch. But it's a very nice inning for the Hornets. They score 4. Right now, 7 runs on 9 hits for the Hornets. When we return, it's Wes Arrington back on the mound. Christian Lancaster will step in for the Tigers. It's a 7-0 ball game. Hornets over the Tigers at the moment.
Number 15, Christian Lancaster.
Just one hit for the Tigers. It's been a nice pitching performance from Wes Arrington. And first pitch he gets. He's going to rip it out to the outfield wall. He's rounding second, but he's going to stop there. So Lancaster gets a double to lead things off here in the 5th. Goes Oppo on that one. And a solid start to the inning for the Tigers. They're going to keep things going with Lucas Burnett. Arrington really hasn't allowed a lot of loud contact in this one. But as we've talked about, you get confidence from seeing other guys in the lineup have some nice hits. An extra base one to start this inning off. Burnett grounded out in his first plate appearance, DHing today. It's going to be a 1-1 count. See Collins walk over, sometimes to try to keep that runner at second. And there have been quite a few pickoff moves from opposing pitchers with Hornets runners on second. Obviously, we know the speed, but as we mentioned earlier, it's a base hit away from scoring them. That's more ripped foul. So now 2 strikes. The catcher, Jay Beavers, waits on deck. That one, strike 3, so Arrington recovers with a strikeout. Punch out or pop out. Great in situations when you have runners in dangerous spots on the base path. As we said, that brings up Beavers to the plate. Beavers batting .232 on the season. The senior from Alexandria. Also in action right now as Beavers will have to hold on. It's going to be a base hit. Neves has it in left, but he drops it. And easily scoring is Lancaster, so Hampden-Sydney is on the board. It's a base hit for Beavers. And as we said, Arrington, who's been finding quite a bit of success on the mound today, it's going to be the first time he's been tripped up a bit, and the Tigers able to capitalize. It all started with that double from Christian Lancaster. Jack Wilson stepping up to the plate. He's manning center field today. But Lynchburg also in action in softball today. Pitch will get away from Fiedler. Easily moving to second as Beavers. A battle against Marymount. Once again, runner on second. That one going to be popped up into the stands. Foul. Some action in the Lynchburg pen now. As we touched on it, it's about coaching decisions at this point. We know there's going to be another one tomorrow for the Hornets. It's the nature of the game. Baseball, a very busy sport on the schedule, trying to get the matchups in. That one low for ball 2. 2-2 count now on Wilson. On deck is Harris, who's batting leadoff in this one. Another one, the dirt fielder, gonna hold the runner at second. As we know, the Tigers stealing almost 3 bags a game. Very comfortable running on pitches. We saw that one from earlier from Boyce. No hesitation going to second, even though the pitch got past Fiedler. That one's going to be popped up into right. And almost got away from Webster. Runner does not tag. Difficult situation to be in as well, because with Beavers, you have to think that ball is going over Webster's head, but Webster able to corral it. And now 2 outs.
Number 52, Grayson Harris.
Here is Arrington. Going to face Harris for the 3rd time today. He has 2 strikeouts. Seven to 1 here in the top of the 5th. Arrington will not get the call. You have to assume that this might be the last inning he pitches. Fiedler keeps that one in front of him. So 2-0 count. That one going to be chopped in the grass. Throw over to Jormund. And the inning is over. So solid outing for Arrington. We'll see if he comes back to start the 6th. But for now, it's 7-1 in favor of the Hornets here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
0 Lynchburg errors.
Holden Fiedler will step in for the Hornets as we begin the bottom of the 5th. Mentioned that Lynchburg has a much anticipated matchup coming tomorrow in the captains of CNU. Hampden-Sydney this weekend at home for a doubleheader against Guilford. That one at Cy Cobb Ballpark starting at 12, so both teams with a home meeting awaiting. Bit of an overcast one here on this Tuesday afternoon. Never a bad time for baseball. As Fiedler called for strike 2. It almost looked like Harris there slipped a little off the mound. And he's going to get that one played up the middle. Boyce is going to have an easy play at first. So one down as Atkins will step in the box. Carson Atkins, a single in his last at-bat. Here in his third plate appearance of the day. Hornets staying true to character. Really getting through that lineup swiftly. We know even though many games this season it's taken a little while to get numbers up on the board, they've been able to really get some players some reps. That's important as well because we know playing almost 4 or 5 times a week, you have to be able to get everybody going, and obviously a very tough job to do that all at the same time. But Carson Atkins with a 2-1 count swings at strike 2. Harris, the 4th pitcher of the ball game for the Tigers. All started with Sterling Austin, followed by Portez, Barnett, and Harris, but Atkins gets one down the line, and it's going to be an easy run into second. 2 for 3 on the day. And that turns things over to Cam Lane. I feel like we've said it about everybody on this Lynchburg squad, but really looking comfortable inside the box. You know, early in the season, maybe trying to find her swing again. Back in real game action. You can simulate it as much as you want, but it's really not the same as these types of games, getting back into the ODAC play, but it's a great time of year to start waking up the bats, and it seems as if the Hornets have really kept them going. Here's Cam Lane, 1-0 count. That one outside. About halfway through this one if you're just joining us on LHSN. Double figures in the hit column for the Hornets as that one's fouled off. Harris delivers, and Lane will wave for strike 2. That one in the dirt. Lane could run if he wanted to, and he will. Got to watch Atkins at second as well. That was a smart play by Atkins on second. Pitch in the dirt for strike 3. We know that the runner can go. But a solid play all around. Puts out number 2 on the scoreboard. And Ben Jones is back up. Homer in his last at-bat. Same can be told for Avery Neves, who's stepping up next. Jones really making life difficult on pitchers as of late. And with Atkins in scoring position, we'll see if he can deliver again. Got the matchup he likes. Righty on lefty. It's going to be fouled off. Close battle, as we said, in softball. Marymount leads 6-5 in the bottom of the 7th on Moon Field. Jones is going to lift one into right. But this one is going to be caught by Wilson, and that will end the inning. So as we go into the top of the 6th, it'll be Mason McDowell coming in when we return. going to be a battle of the 13s here on James C. Fox Field as Mason McDowell has entered the game for the Hornets. So Arrington's day is over. 5 innings of work, allowing just 3 hits and 1 run. So a very solid outing, as we know what he has been able to do this season and continuing to round out what has been a solid rotation. We know later in the season trying to figure out who's playing when. So Arrington put up a great case with his numbers today. But Mason McDowell will enter the game, the freshman in a rotation that has had quite a few freshmen throwing pitches. They've been solid all season, and we know just how capable this Hornets team has been. We've said it time and time again. But in steps Jackson Masterson, the other half of the 13 battle. McDowell, a freshman out of Fishersville, Virginia. That one's going to be popped up into right. It might be in the bullpen, and it is. So that one's going to go foul. Now the visitors' bullpen just past the foul line in right field. Little tough for view from the press box. But an 0-2 count will start McDowell's outing. Masterson at the plate. Close pitch, going to be taken for a ball. Masterson's 3rd plate appearance. He's going to be hit, so on to first. Tough situation for McDowell. You get 2 strikes, you're feeling the confidence, a little bit of adrenaline after just coming in, and a free pass to first. So now Masterson will be on with no one out. In steps Ryan Boyce, the shortstop. Some loud contact that goes foul. Boyce 1 for 2 with the single. Righty on righty matchup, and it's going to be into right field. Webster has it and sends Masterson back to first. For a second, it looked like he was winding up to throw it back to first. Try to double down, but it's not going to happen. So an F9 in your scorebook as Christian Chambers steps up to bat. Number 11 for the Tigers. Nice pitch there for strike 1. We've seen McDowell's stuff early in the season. And for a freshman, he's looked very poised on the mound. McDowell, this will be his 5th appearance. A 1.80 ERA, which for a freshman coming in, that's something you have to like if you're Lucas Jones. Masterson a lead on first. And the pitch will be outside, 3-1. So hitter's count here for Boyce. Batting 3rd in this lineup. And it's going to be a walk, so runners on first and second. Ryan Boyce, again, who leads the team in at-bats, RBIs, and runs. And while Masterson is on second, Boyce is 18 of 19 in steal attempts. And I believe that number will change after earlier, as he was able to snag second. So the battery will have a discussion on the mound. Holden Fiedler behind the plate today. We'll send Chambers. Excuse me, that will be Miller's Bob.
Number 6, Jacob Miller Bob.
Have a correction on that. That was Chambers who earned first. So apologies there. 1 out. here in the top of the 6th. Tigers with runners on first and second. And Miller Bopp gets one into left. And Neves a quick throw in. Maybe an even better jump to snag that one by Jones, but now the bases are loaded. As Miller Bopp will earn a hit.
Number 15.
All started with a hit by pitch for Masterson. Chambers was able to earn his way on. Miller Bopp doing the same, and now they're loaded for Christian Lancaster. Chance to put a dent in this Lynchburg scoreline, and looks like there's going to be a conversation on the mound. We'll see if there's a pitching change or if they just want to talk things over. They're just going to have a conversation. Try to slow things down for McDowell as best as they can. As we said, just a 1.80 ERA. So he's been solid all season. See these types of conversations as well. Maybe earn some time for the relievers in the bullpen, but it'll be a big test for the freshman. Neves was able to get the throw in quickly to prevent the runner from scoring. And Jackson Masterson. Lancaster is going to step up. He doubled in his last at-bat, so he's shown off some of that strength. Believe he went into left field on that one. We're going to have a pitching change here on LHSN, but we'll be right back here in the top of the 6th. Bases are going to be loaded for Angel Collazo, who steps into this one, his 9th appearance of the season, as he is about to face the left-hitting Christian Lancaster. As we said, the Tigers have him loaded. So, runners on base will go on McDowell's record. Collazo has been solid on the season. He brings a lot of energy to this Lynchburg squad. An awesome guy to be around, and we know in a situation like this, he's certainly going to be tested. So for the decision to be made to put him on the mound, that shows a little bit of trust. But it will be the left fielder, Christian Lancaster. A double in his last at-bat, stepping into the box. If the Tigers want to make a difference in this game, it's going to have to be now. Chances are normally few and far between against the Hornets pitching staff that knows how to slam the door shut. First pitch swung at, and it's going to be fouled. Best case scenario, if you're the Hornets, you could see potential double play if you keep it in the infield. We know Collazo would love that one, but it's going to be 0-1. Pitch to Lancaster. Did he go? No. So 1-1 count. The Hornets have done their work somewhat silently today. It hasn't really been a built-up situation. They had 3 in the first. They had 4 in the fourth to make it 7-1. Tigers trying to change that. It's going to be a ground ball to third, settling for the out at first. So run will come across. It's going to be 7-2 now. Maybe a smart decision from Jones there. Would have been a very tight play at second. But fielder's choice, and Lancaster will reach with an RBI, and that will bring Burnett to the plate. So again, that will be McDowell's run if you're doing the scorekeeping. 7-2 ball game here in the top of the 6th. Hornets with runners on second and third now. It's a nice pitch for a strike there. Tigers able to capitalize a little bit. They've got one in. Let's see what else they can do. Pitch just outside, so 2-1 count. As we said earlier, Burnett doing the DHing today. A strikeout in his last at-bat. Now in a hitter's count, 3-1. And he earns the walk. The bases are loaded once again. So 2 down for Collazo. Still a little bit of trouble. As Beavers will step up to the plate, doing the catching for the Tigers. For the Hornets, 7 runs on 10 hits, 1 error. The Tigers, 2 runs on 4 hits. And a clean slate from the field. Here's the pitch from Collazo. Going to be called a strike. If you're just joining, it's a good time to start watching here on LHSN. Tigers with them loaded. 2 down in the top of the 6th. Trying to do some work here against Collazo in relief. And it's going to be hit up the middle, and it's 1 and maybe more for the Tigers. Atkins is not going to have a play. It's going to be a 2-run single for Jay Beavers. Not only doing it behind the plate, but he's got it with the bat as well, and now it is just a 3-run ball game.
Number 44, Jack Wilson.
Tough break for Collazo. We know there was a ground ball that could have potentially been a double play, but smart play by Ben Jones just to throw it to first. But now, this ball game just a little bit tighter, as it looks like Fiedler wants to have a conversation on the mound. Jack Wilson will be up to bat. It's been a fun one so far. It's had its fair share of scoring. The Tigers have 3 in this one so far. This top of the 6th. So we've said for all Lynchburg Hornets athletic events at home, catch us on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. As Collazo is about to come out, we're going to have another pitching change here in this top of the 6th. Fourth pitcher of the ball game for the Hornets here on James C. Fox Field. We've got a tight one, 7-4, as the Hornets are leading the Hampden-Sydney Tigers. Jack Batchmore has come into the game, a 1.40 ERA. 3-0 record so far in 10 appearances. How about that? Also 3 saves to his name. Pitched just under 26 innings. So he is certainly capable of getting out of this jam. Runners on first and second now as he's going to get a called strike. 2 down here in this top of the 6th has proved to be problematic for the hometown Hornets. Fouled back. Once again, it's Jack Wilson at the plate. Wilson, a freshman from Petersburg, Virginia. And that strike ends the inning. So it's going to be 3 runs for the Tigers. They cut the lead to just 3. But the Hornets will be batting in the bottom of the 6th.
For the Tigers at the top of the 6th.
The always menacing Avery Neves steps in for the Hornets. He's 1 for 1 with a homer and a walk. Here in this bottom of the 6th, it looks like Harris is going to stay on the mound. Bit of a long break as Neves turns on another, but this one looks to stay in the ballpark. It's going to be out number 1. Every single time he swings and has contact like that, you have to think he has a shot at getting it out. Turns it over to Logan Webster.
Your right fielder, number 6, Logan Webster.
Playing right field today. As we said with Neves, as first pitch in there, it's going to be a ball. Obviously, very interesting circumstance because we know how talented he is at the plate. I mean, he's hitting .382. But then you look at his OBP being .516. You also consider some of those plays, you know, hits like that where he's getting loud contact. It seems like every at-bat that he has, he finds a way to make it productive. And even if it doesn't result on something on paper, it at least sparks a little bit of trust throughout the rest of this lineup. Webster's going to take what will be strike 1. Still in the hitter's count. Harris with the pitch. This one, it might be a blooper in the center, and a very acrobatic play there. It was Masterson with a master catch to get him out. So 2 down. Not an easy task to put the 3 and 4 hitters on this Hornets squad away that soundly. But it's going to be Harding who steps in now, and he's going to crack one foul. Those are the type of fly balls that you really cannot prepare for. It's just you get in the game, you trust what you've done in practice, and that was excellent positioning by Masterson. Seen quite a bit of action for the Tigers this season. It's going to be Harding as he grounds it up the middle. We'll have to wait to see the ruling on that one, but it looks like it's going to be a base hit with 2 outs. And Gavin Collins will step in.
Your shortstop, number 15.
Again, you put the ball in play, good things can happen. Up steps the shortstop out of Centerville High School. He's going to swing at strike 1. We know Brandon Garcia isn't in the action today, but he's done a phenomenal job at shortstop as well this season. A freshman contributor. He's got good speed, good mobility. Can make plays in the field as well. One positive of a ball club. Obviously, you want success now, but you also want to have success in the years to come. Collins turns on one, and it's going to be flown out for out number 3 as we end the bottom of the 6th. That's 7-4 here at James C. Fox Field.
1 hit, 0 Tiger errors.
Batchmore returns to start this 7th inning. Thank you for joining us on LHSN. We've got a battle between Hampden-Sydney and Lynchburg. The Hornets playing host to the captains of CNU tomorrow. Kyle Haney will be on the call. And what will be a fabulous top 25 matchup. But for now, the Tigers of Hampden-Sydney, once again, they've been extremely talented in the past years. We know any team in the ODAC can really come out and test you. But Batchmore hoping to have an easy inning, as it's going to be Harris in the box for Hampden-Sydney. Grayson Harris searching for his first hit of the ball game, but it's going to be yet another strikeout for the first out of the inning. Batchmore has been so efficient to start this season. And we know relievers typically used to give different looks at batters, shake things up, but Batchmore with his consistency, it's almost like you know he's going to come in a game of importance. You just don't know when, and you don't know what he's going to bring to the table. He's been very versatile. We haven't mentioned too much about the battery mate Holden Fiedler yet. in terms of defense, but he's always doing a great job behind the plate as well. Really, the catcher's job changes so often. You're trying to smother balls, you're trying to make throws. We know when it gets in the dirt, just keeping it in front of you is much more difficult than one would think. Masterson gonna foul that one off. Batting second in this lineup. And that's strike three. Batchmore strikes out two to start the seventh. You get up to bat, and it's like
Number 7, Ryan Boyce.
seeing some of those pitches. It's every single pitch is really either contesting the strike zone or it's one that you would think would come earlier. Batchmore just does a great job of mixing things up. It was a solid effort from Wes Arrington early in this ball game that has put the Hornets in this position. Ryan Boyce up to bat. Swings at strike two. Batchmore, a strike away. And here comes the pitch. It's going to be a grounder to third. It's a fast-running Boyce, but the out is going to be made at first. It's a nice throw here as we go to stretch time at James C. Fox Field. It is 7-5. Excuse me, 7-4 in favor of the Hornets.
0 Lynchburg errors and 0 runners left on base.
Back here at the University of Lynchburg for the bottom of the seventh. It's Josh Jorman that will lead things off for the Hornets. And it's going to be ball one from Colton Harris. 2 1/3 innings of work. He's only allowed 3 hits, no runs. A solid outing thus far. Still lots of baseball to be played. As Jorman watches a strike. Going to pull that one foul. The Hornets ranked 11th in the nation. Hoping to see that number rise throughout the season. Certainly have competition that, with wins, can bring them there. It's going to be strike 3 called. And that's out number 1. Holden Fiedler will step in. 1-1 count. You think about successful programs and obviously looking for similarities, trying to emulate what you see. This is really true at any level, whether it be collegiate or professional level. But getting it done from all over the field is very important, and we know that as we see a hit out there from Fiedler, he's going to fly out to the center fielder. But it's so much more than hitting, and what the Hornets have done from a pitching standpoint, from a base running standpoint, just having discipline, that's something that will take you a long ways. Speaking of professional baseball, as Carson Atkins steps up to the plate, I want to congratulate Grayson Thurman being called up to single A for the Blue Jays. As a pop-out ends the inning, we'll have more on that on the other side. But for now, it's the end of the 7th. Hornets still leading here at James C. Fox Field.
0 Tiger errors and 0 runners left on base.
Hornets finish up their warm-up tosses as we get ready to begin the 8th. Still a 3-run lead. And the Tigers will start with Christian Chambers. He's going to turn on the first pitch he sees. It's going to go foul. It had quite a bit of distance. Before the break, mentioned Grayson Thurman now playing professionally. Single A Dunedin. Down in Florida. Lynchburg alum from Alta Vista. Extremely talented pitcher, an All-American. As that's strike 3. But as we said, extending our congratulations to Thurman.
Number 6, Jacob Miller-Bob.
It's Batchmore's 4th strikeout. As Jacob Miller-Bob now at the plate. Swings at strike 2. Batchmore not wasting any time on the mound. And Miller-Bob knew it. Yet another strikeout for Batchmore. This guy makes it look so easy. He's efficient, consistent, and the Hornets have to like it. As Lancaster will step into the box. It's going to be chopped foul. down the right baseline. Chambers 0 for 2 in this one, as he's going to ground one to Harding. Makes it a close play at first, but a very quick top of the 8th for Jack Matchmore, as it's 3 up, 3 down. Here on the other side, the Hornets will be hitting up 3 late in this one. Welcome back on LHSN. Late in the ball game, the Hornets up 3.
Leading off for the Hornets in the bottom of the 8th.
As
No designated hitter, number 34.
the leadoff hitter will lead off for the top of the 8th. It's Cam Lane DHing today. Haven't seen a lot of substitutions, minus the pitching staff, so it'll be helpful for tomorrow. Obviously, the Hornets turning around to play the captains of CNU. Hampden-Sydney has a little bit more of a break here until this weekend. It's going to be a nice hit there from Cam Lane. That one came off the bat quickly, and it's going to be a leadoff single. That will bring up Ben Jones. Once again, the top of this lineup has been so difficult to face. Looks like we might have a pitching change. So we have a little mound meeting. As they look over into right field, we'll actually stay with you. But Colton Harris had a very solid outing today, considering the hitting that the Hornets had early on. So we'll move in, we'll get you the pitcher in a second. But as we said, that finishes up Harris's line. 3 1/3 inning of work, 4 hits, 2 strikeouts. It's going to be number 20 for Hampden-Sydney, and Timothy Hart, a 3.68 ERA. This will be his 9th appearance on the season. Mentioned lots of spring sports going on across the campus, the University of Lynchburg. Today it's just a doubleheader in softball, the only sport in action. Marymount took the first 6-5. They're in the top of the first now. Nothing on the scoreboard yet. And then here on the baseball diamond, it's 7-4 in favor of the Hornets. Nice flow on the mound here for the new pitcher, Timothy Hart. Hornets will be just 3 outs away in the top of the 9th. So we said Hart, he's a senior from Powhatan, Virginia. He will face Ben Jones after the single from Lane. If you're just joining us, welcome to ODAC Baseball on LHSN. As we get ready to turn the page on March, here in the few days, the Hornets been very good to start this season, 16-3. They're undefeated at home and looking to keep that streak alive against the Tigers. You know, March really the first true month of baseball, minus a couple games in February. Return of the MLB on Thursday. You can just feel that spring has truly sprung. Temperatures finally getting above the 40s and 50s. We know that in Virginia it can be a bit of a coin toss to see what you're going to get or what you're going to be wearing. 1-1 count to Ben Jones, the freshman. It's going to be another pickoff. And Hart walking off the mound gingerly. With a quick pickoff move like that, sometimes you got to watch your footing. Looks like he'll be all right, but always want to make sure. A lot of times, adrenaline going on the field, you think you're okay, and you just never know. But Hart already towing the slab, looks like he's going to be all right. These athletes who continue to try and perfect their craft aren't just out there to play a sport, they're there to compete. A wide stance there, it's going to be strike 2. "12 hits today for the Hornets. It's going to be a chance for 2. And the ball's going to get passed. So out recorded at second. Jones will reach on fielder's choice. Lucky again to kind of have that fence along the right stands, and ball won't travel too far. So 1 down for the All-American, Avery Neves.
Your left fielder, number 30, Avery Neves.
Hart will prance around the mound. Again, Neves really has to pick and choose what he's going to swing at, particularly more than other hitters really on any roster in the ODAC. We know just what talent this guy brings to the table, but the difference maker for Lynchburg this season has been that he has other hitters who have been able to do it with him. Beavers fumbled it. Does enough to keep Jones on first. You think about this part of the lineup, though, and really just throughout the entire lineup, we've seen this. Lane is batting .300. We know how hot Ben Jones has been. Neves bats .382. Just starting things off. And that is a nice throw down the line from Beavers. He didn't get him. Jones got caught. A little bit of a long lead. That secondary lead, once the pitch is thrown, he had to get back. That's great awareness behind the plate, but just a second too slow. That's going to be a strike. And with Neves batting too, those are the types of outs you would love to get. Tigers looked very disciplined today, especially in the field. See a few of these plays. He's going to get Neves. Again, the exact same throw down to first. Doesn't get him. Beavers, bit of a smile on his face.
Pinch hitting for the Hornets, number 19, Riley O'Donovan.
And it's going to be a pinch hitter for the Hornets. It's Riley O'Donovan. Does quite a bit of catching for the squad when Fiedler isn't behind the plate. O'Donovan batting .265. This will be his 17th game on the season. And they're for strike one. O'Donovan gonna look strike two. So very quickly a pitcher's count, chance to get out of the inning. And he does. Nice work there from Timothy Hart. And lots of intensity as he walks off the mound. It was a very difficult part of the lineup to face. And he does it without allowing a run. We're going to the top of the ninth on LHSN. When we return, we'll be right back. And welcome back. Here in the top of the ninth, it's Batchmore still on the mound. Burnett at the plate. And he's going to start off the inning with a single into center. So the Tigers get the opening hit they needed. And a chance to try and come back, but it's going to have to be against a very hard-throwing Jack Batchmore. It's going to be Beavers who steps up to the plate. There's going to be a pinch runner, it looks like, for Hampden-Sydney. It's going to be Jaheim Green stepping on first.
Pinch running for the Tigers, number 23, Jaheim Green.
And a flurry of defensive changes for Lynchburg. Gavin Collins is now at third. Brandon Garcia has come into the game at short. Looks like Ben Jones moved to second, which means that Harding will be out and right. All a result of Riley Donovan having that at bat. It's going to be a strike from Batchmore. Mentioned it's been a game that really hasn't had too many substitutions. Will line up nicely for tomorrow. Not that fatigue would be too much of a factor, but it's Beavers who's going to fly out to knees in left field, one down. For a second, it looked like it could have plopped into the gap. We saw Garcia running back. Sometimes that shortstop will try to make an acrobatic catch, but nice job from the All-American in left field to call it. There's one down, one on in the the top of the ninth for Hampden-Sydney. Jack Wilson now up to bat. It's going to be called a strike. Jack Wilson, 0 for 3, playing center field in this one. Batchmore continues to pound the strike zone. high success rate when this guy steps on the mound. Green, the pinch runner at first. He gets a lead. It's going to be strike 3. And throw down to first to make it official. There's 2 down. And the Tigers now back against the wall will lean on Grayson Harris, the first baseman. 3 strikeouts in this one so far. Batchmore waits. And it's going to be a grounder to third. Chance to end the game, throw to second. And the Hornets will get a win to open up the week here on this Tuesday afternoon. It's a solid effort all around as the Hornets have come up with the victory. West Arrington will be in line for the win. It's going to be Sterling Austin who comes out with the loss. Great start to the week for the Hornets. They're gonna have CNU tomorrow afternoon right here on LHSN. The final lines. The Hornets win with 7 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. The Tigers gonna come up short, 4 runs on 6 hits and no errors. It's been a fun one here on LHSN. We thank you for joining. As always, we have to give props to our LHSN crew doing all the behind-the-scenes work. It's a ranked matchup tomorrow against the captains of CNU with Kyle Haney. But for now, I'm Evan Gates. Thank you for watching here on LHSN. The Hornets win it 7-4.